I am Mark. This is my English story. I did not know any English. When people spoke English, I could not understand. The words sounded strange, and I felt lost and confused. But now, I speak well. I can talk with friends, read books, and write sentences. It was not easy, but I did it. Let me take you back to the beginning. I remember the first time I heard English. It was on TV. The characters were speaking a language I didn't understand. They laughed, talked, and seemed happy. But I couldn't join in. I wanted to understand. I wanted to be part of their world. At school, English was a subject. The teacher wrote words on the board and said them out loud. But to me, they were just sounds. I couldn't make sense of them. My classmates seemed to get it. They nodded, repeated the words, and even made sentences. But I sat quietly, hoping the teacher wouldn't call on me. I was afraid to speak. What if I said it wrong? What if they laughed at me? One day, I decided. I wanted to change. I wanted to learn English. I wanted to understand those TV shows, talk with my friends, and do well in school. I knew it wouldn't be easy, but I was ready to try. First, I talked to my parents. I told them I wanted to learn English. They were supportive. They said, learning a new language was a good idea. They encouraged me to start small and not give up. That gave me hope. I started with the basics. The alphabet was my first step. A, B, C. I practiced each letter. I wrote them down one by one. At first, my letters were shaky. Some were too big, others too small, but I kept practicing. Soon, my letters looked just right. I was proud of my progress. Next, I learned simple words. Cat, dog, apple. These were words I saw every day. I made flashcards with pictures and words. I looked at them often. I said the words out loud. Slowly, the words started to make sense. I could see a cat and say, cat. I could hold an apple and say, apple. It felt good to know these words. Practicing every day was important. I set aside time each day to study. Sometimes I was tired, sometimes I wanted to play instead, but I remembered my goal. I wanted to learn English, so I practiced every day. I learned a little more. I started to make sentences. I am Alex. This is a book. These were simple sentences, but they meant a lot to me. They were my first steps in speaking English. I practiced with my friends. They were kind and patient. They corrected me when I made mistakes. They cheered me on when I got it right. Their support made a big difference. Speaking out loud was scary at first. I was afraid of making mistakes, but I learned that mistakes were okay. They were part of learning. Each mistake taught me something new. Over time, I became less shy. I spoke more and more. I felt my confidence growing. Reading and listening were also important. I started with children's books. They were simple and had pictures. I could look at the pictures and understand the story. I read the words out loud. I repeated them until they sounded right. I listened to English songs. Music made learning fun. I sang along even if I didn't understand all the words. Slowly, the songs made more sense. I watched English cartoons. The characters spoke clearly. I could follow their stories. Watching cartoons helped me learn new words and phrases. Writing was another step. I started with simple sentences. I like cats. Today is sunny. I wrote in a journal every day. My sentences were short, but they helped me practice. I paid attention to spelling. I wanted to write the words correctly. Spelling was tricky at first. Some words were hard to spell, but I practiced. I used a dictionary to check my words. Each day, my writing improved. I took small steps. I didn't try to learn everything at once. I focused on one thing at a time. This made learning easier. Each small step added up. Over time, I saw big improvements. I joined an English club. We met every week. We talked about different topics and played games in English. The club was fun and helped me practice speaking. I made new friends who were also learning English. We helped each other. We shared tips and encouraged one another. I found language partners online. We talked through video calls. They wanted to learn my language, and I wanted to learn English. We helped each other. It was like having a friend to study with. We practiced speaking and listening. We corrected each other's mistakes. This helped me a lot. I asked for help when I didn't understand. I asked my teacher, my friends, and my parents. They were always willing to help. They explained things to me. They gave me tips and resources. Asking for help was important. It showed me that I didn't have to learn alone. Learning English changed my life. It opened new doors. I could talk with more people. I could understand more things. I felt more confident. I was proud of my progress. Now, I want to help others. I want to share my story. I hope it will inspire you. If you are learning English, know that you can do it. Start small. Practice every day. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Ask for help when you need it. Keep going even when it's hard. You can do it too. Thank you for listening to my story. Good luck with your English. Chapter 1. The beginning. At first, English was hard. I did not understand words. They seemed like a puzzle with no solution. When I heard people speaking English, it felt like they were talking in a secret code. I tried to listen carefully, but the sounds were strange. They did not make sense to me. I felt frustrated. In school, English class was the most difficult for me. The teacher would speak in English, and I could only catch a few words. She would ask questions, and I didn't know the answers. I felt embarrassed. I wanted to hide or disappear. My classmates seemed to understand everything. They could read, write, and speak in English, but I struggled with every word. When we had to read out loud, I was scared. My heart would race, and my hands would shake. I worried about making mistakes. I worried that others would laugh at me. Sometimes I pretended to be sick so I wouldn't have to go to English class. But deep down, I knew I couldn't run away forever. I had to face my fear. One day, I decided to start with the basics. I realized that I needed to build a strong foundation, so I began with the alphabet. A, B, C. I took a piece of paper and wrote down each letter. I practiced writing them again and again. At first, my letters were uneven. Some were too big, others too small, but I kept practicing. Slowly, my letters became neater. I felt a sense of accomplishment. Learning the alphabet was like opening a door. Each letter was a key. Together, they formed the building blocks of words. I found joy in this simple practice. It was fun to see how letters combined to create new sounds and meanings. I used flashcards to help me remember the letters. I made my own flashcards with colorful markers. On one side, I wrote the letter. On the other side, I drew a picture of something that started with that letter. A for apple, B for ball, C for cat. I looked at these flashcards. Every day, I said the letters out loud. I traced them with my finger. The more I practiced, the more familiar they became. I also watched educational videos for kids. They were designed to teach the alphabet in a fun way. There were songs, dances, and animations. I sang along with the songs. I followed the dances. These videos made learning enjoyable. They helped me remember the letters in a playful manner. Learning English made me feel many emotions. At first, I felt nervous every time I tried to learn a new word. I worried about getting it wrong. I was afraid of making mistakes. I was afraid of being laughed at. But I knew that if I let fear stop me, I would never learn, so I tried to be brave. I felt a sense of excitement when I made progress. Each time I learned a new letter or word, I felt proud. These small victories gave me confidence. They showed me that I could do it. They motivated me to keep going. There were times when I felt overwhelmed. English has many rules and exceptions. Sometimes it seemed like for every rule I learned, there was an exception that confused me. I felt like I was taking one step forward and 2 steps back. But I reminded myself that learning is a journey. It takes time and effort. I had to be patient with myself. Support from my family and friends made a big difference. My parents encouraged me every day. They told me that it was okay to make mistakes. They told me that every mistake was a step towards learning. Their words gave me strength. My friends helped me practice. They were patient and kind. They corrected me gently. They cheered me on. Their support made me feel less alone. I also learned to celebrate my progress. Every small step was a victory. I celebrated when I learned a new letter. I celebrated when I wrote a word correctly. I celebrated when I spoke a sentence without hesitation. These celebrations kept me motivated. They reminded me of how far I had come. I did not give up. No matter how hard it was, I kept going. I reminded myself of my goal. I wanted to learn English. I wanted to understand, speak, and write it. This goal kept me focused. It gave me the strength to keep trying even when it was difficult. Through this journey, I learned that it's okay to feel scared, nervous, or overwhelmed. These feelings are part of learning something new. What matters is not giving up. What matters is taking one step at a time. Learning English taught me patience and perseverance. It taught me that I am stronger than I think. I hope my story encourages you to keep going on your own journey. Chapter 2. Growing Confidence. As I learned more words, I started to make sentences. At first, my sentences were very simple. I would say, I am Mark, or, this is a cat. These were just basic statements, but they meant a lot to me. They were proof that I was learning. Each sentence I spoke gave me confidence. I was no longer just repeating words. I was expressing my thoughts in English. I practiced these sentences every day. I spoke them out loud. At first, I practiced by myself. I would stand in front of the mirror and talk to my reflection. This helped me get used to the sound of my voice speaking English. I watched my mouth move as I spoke. I listened to my pronunciation. If something didn't sound right, I would try again until it did. Once I felt more comfortable, I started practicing with my friends. They were very supportive. They would listen to me patiently. If I made a mistake, they would correct me gently. They never laughed at me. Instead, they encouraged me to keep going. Practicing with my friends made a big difference. It gave me the confidence to speak English in front of others. I also started writing in English. At first, I would write simple sentences like, I like apples, or, the sun is bright. I kept a small notebook with me. Whenever I learned a new word, I would write it down. Then, I would try to use that word in a sentence. Writing helped me remember the words I learned. It also helped me understand how to use them correctly. I noticed that the more I practiced, the better I got. My sentences became longer. I started using more complex words. I could describe my day, talk about my hobbies, and even tell short stories. It was exciting to see how much I had improved. My teacher noticed my progress too. She told me that I was doing well. Her words encouraged me. They made me feel proud of myself. I was no longer the student who was afraid of English class. I was becoming confident in my abilities. One day, my teacher asked me to read a short story in front of the class. At first, I felt nervous. My hands were shaking, and my heart was pounding. But I reminded myself of how far I had come. I took a deep breath and started reading. As I read, I felt my confidence growing. The words flowed smoothly. I could see my classmates listening to me. When I finished, they clapped. It was a moment I will never forget. It showed me that I had the ability to speak English in front of others. It was a big step forward in my journey. Learning English taught me the importance of practice. I learned that the more I practiced, the more confident I became. Practice helped me overcome my fears. It showed me that mistakes were okay. They were just part of the learning process. Through this experience, I also learned the importance of having a support system. My family, friends, and teacher all played a crucial role in my journey. Their encouragement gave me the strength to keep going, even when things were difficult. They reminded me that I wasn't alone in this journey. Chapter 3. New opportunities. As my English improved, I started to notice changes in my life. New opportunities began to open up for me. I could now understand English movies, songs, and books. I could follow conversations and join in. It felt like a whole new world had opened up to me. One of the biggest changes was in my schoolwork. I used to struggle with English assignments. I didn't understand the instructions. I couldn't read the texts. But now, I could do these tasks with ease. My grades improved, and my teachers were impressed. I felt proud of my progress. I also made new friends. Before, I was too shy to talk to people who spoke English. I was afraid of making mistakes. But now, I felt more confident. I started conversations with new people. I joined clubs and groups where English was spoken. I met people from different backgrounds. I learned about their cultures, and they learned about mine. It was exciting to make connections with others through English. At home, I began helping my younger siblings with their English homework. I showed them the techniques that worked for me: flashcards, repetition, and speaking out loud. It felt good to share what I had learned. My siblings looked up to me, and I was happy to help them. I also started to think about my future. With my new language skills, I knew I had more options. I could travel to English-speaking countries, study abroad, or even work in international companies. The possibilities seemed endless. Learning English gave me a sense of empowerment. It showed me that I could achieve my goals if I worked hard and stayed determined. My journey with English was not just about learning a language. It was about personal growth. It taught me that I could overcome challenges. It showed me that I had the ability to learn and adapt. This gave me confidence in other areas of my life as well. I realized that if I could learn English, I could learn other skills too. As I continued to improve, I looked for more ways to practice. I started reading English books for fun. I watched movies without subtitles. I listened to English podcasts and tried to understand as much as I could. These activities became part of my daily routine. They helped me continue learning in a natural and enjoyable way. I also set new goals for myself. I wanted to improve my writing skills, so I started a blog in English. I wrote about my experiences, my thoughts, and my interests. Writing regularly helped me practice grammar, expand my vocabulary, and express my ideas clearly. It was challenging at times, but it was also rewarding. Learning English also taught me the importance of staying positive. There were times when I felt frustrated or discouraged. There were days when I didn't feel like practicing. But I reminded myself of why I started this journey. I thought about all the progress I had made. I focused on the positives. This mindset helped me stay motivated. Looking back, I am grateful for the journey I took to learn English. It was not easy, but it was worth it. I gained more than just a new language. I gained confidence, new friends, and new opportunities. I learned the value of hard work and determination. I discovered that I am capable of achieving my goals. Now, I want to encourage others who are learning English. I want to tell them that it's okay to start small. It's okay to make mistakes. Learning a new language takes time, but it's possible. If I could do it, so can you. Believe in yourself, practice every day, and don't give up. You are stronger than you think, and you can achieve your goals.